How are you, everybody who is watching this video? My name is OLENJOLAI&NEKINY single from the beautiful, fantastic country called the United Republic of Tanzania in Eastern Africa. I would like to welcome you onto our official YouTube channel that called Tanzania Online O-Level, Tanzania Online O-Level Secondary Schools, in square bracket is OLENJOLAI. So in this, I would like just to take a few minutes to do a little introduction, then we'll go to the session 3. In this YouTube channel, we are particularly and very focused and serious on solving common problems that has been faced and even are still faced and will be faced by the O-level or ordinary secondary education students, specifically in United Republic of Tanzania, because that's the reference syllabus that we are using. So I did the O-level ordinary secondary education in United Republic of Tanzania, so I know the common problems and even those critical problems that I faced myself, and even the present generation right now, and even the future generations that will face. So in this YouTube channel, currently we are teaching 3 subjects: basic mathematics, basic physics, and basic chemistry. So in basic mathematics, we are teaching specifically 4 classes: Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. It means that in some of the United Kingdom's educational system, we just call them Class 9, Class 10, Class 11, and Class 12. That's the meaning of. So again, in basic physics also we are teaching 4 classes. It means that in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. And then in terms of Americans or maybe a European educational system, you can call it Class 9, Class 10. It means basic physics for Class 9, basic physics for Class 10, basic physics for class 11, and basic physics for class 12. Similarly for the chemistry, we are teaching Form 1 chemistry for Form 1, chemistry for Form 2, chemistry for Form 3, chemistry for Form 4. And they are similar. It means that in the Americans or in the Europeans, we just convert the Form 1 to Form 4 into class 9 into 12, or class 9 to 12. So that's what basically we'll be taking in focus. So today will be, we are in departments of basic mathematics. So the subject which I'm going to teach you today is called basic mathematics, and the class is Form 3 or class 11. So in terms of Europeans, because these are materials which can be used worldwide, class 11. Okay, class 11. So remember that I will be teaching these contents, call it the syllabus of United Republic of Tanzania. However, the contents might be used elsewhere in the world. So any students in America, in Europe, in any continent, in any country of Africa, in North America or South America or in Asia or in Australia, you can use this material just like a reference material for learning all about basic physics for the class 11s or for the Form 3. Okay, so then the chapter that I'll be teaching you today is in this basic mathematics subject. It's called Sequences and Series. So it's not the first. This is not the first session. This is the 3rd session, because it's called the third session. So it means that I've already taught the first session and second session, and you can get the reference or the contents that I've taught in the same YouTube channel. So in order for you to be, because we'll be adding new videos and we still have this series, we teach these lectures in terms of series, I would like to advise you to do just a few things so that you can get connected and even be informed. Number 1, make sure that you sign in YouTube by using your official or valid email. And then after you sign in, make sure that you subscribe and you click the button that it's red. It has a background. It has a red background, and also it has it means a text in white color. So click it, subscribe. The color will change, and then find the bells if you're using the computer, and then click that bells, and then choose the options of all. And then from there, you'll be notified by the YouTube official or YouTube official community once we add any new video, because we'll be adding videos always into these YouTube channels as a series or sequence of teaching. Again, I insist you that to share these contents with your colleagues, with your young brothers, with your elder brothers. You know, it means that these contents are very important. So make sure that you share with your colleagues or with your classmates elsewhere that you know. The third thing which I would like just to insist you is make sure that also you read the descriptions of the video, where you can get or it means that you can learn or you can get more information concerning about the video that you have been or you are watching, right? And then the fourth thing, you can also visit our official channel. So if you got the description, you will see some other 5 official channel away from this one, which we are training students, or which actually that we are training different people in the world by using the internet. So it means online official YouTube channel. So you can go through and then learn a lot of stuff. Again, I would like to mean that in the class, any class without questions is incomplete. So I would like to insist you, in case that you have any questions along the teaching or along the session, when the session will be proceeding, you can ask your questions in the comment sections. Okay, so use the comment section to ask your questions. Use the comment section to answer a question that have been asked by other students. Use the comment section for the discussion. So you can use the comment section just to interact with me. I will try my level best. One thing which just I like just to give you the warning: OLENJOLAI does not know everything about basic mathematics for the form theory. Just know small slices or small piece, or it means that a small portions of sequences and series or of basic mathematics, right? But I'm ready to share that small portion that I know with everybody in present generations and even the future generation. Okay, so that another thing that just I would like you to insist to. Again, this program is for the serious students. So we are very serious, and we also ask you to be serious on taking, because we are recording the live class. It might be even better than the physical classes that you are taking, because we try our level best to spend much time on preparation and collecting the contents and simplifying them in the simple language, and use different teaching aids so that every student in any country or in our nation, so for example, anywhere at any time, can learn these materials himself or herself. So that's the key. So let us go to today's session. So it is chapter 5, and says sequence and series. So I'd like to do just a quick review of session 2. In session 2, basically I began to teach you the definition of what the meanings of sequence. So what the meanings of sequence? So I taught you, and we defined sequence. What does it mean? Okay, so it means that just to give you an advantage in case that you forgot, but you have to make sure that you go through. We say that a sequence is a set of terms written in definite order to form a simple pattern. So we are forming patterns, and these terms are separated by the comma. Again, I told you the meanings of terms, right? So the meanings of terms. Again, I told you a specific terms we call the nth term, right? And then another key point that we have learned, after learning the sequences and the examples, the nth terms, the types of sequences. So I told you about the types of sequences, and then we did some questions. So I told you about two types of sequences. So the 2 types of sequences, I told you that we have finite sequence, and also we have infinite sequence. So make sure that you go through the first lecture before you come the second session, okay? The second session before you go through this session, this third session. So 2 types of sequences. So you say we have finite and infinite. And then I taught you, it means I taught you how to solve some problems regarding sonority on sequences. So today we are going to focus on session 3, that is focused in problem solving on sequences. And the reference book is Secondary Basic Mathematics, one of the reference books that I've mentioned in session 1. So this is the reference Basic Mathematics. And as I told you that in the part of the contents of the sequences and series, the last content, just watch the last content. The last content, I told you that I'm going to help you on problem solving. So that's what we are going to do today. However, that I won't be solve all the problems, but today our focus will be on this exercise 5.1, and this book is called the Secondary Basic Mathematics Book 3, right? That's the reference book. And then the exercise, the topic is, or the chapter, you'll find the chapter 5. It's called the Sequences and Series, and the exercise that we are going to solve today is called the exercise 5. It has 10 questions. So that's what will be the contents of this session, of this lecture. So join me, please. So it will be problem solving on the first concept of sequences. So problem solving on sequences. We are still in the first concept. We didn't move to the second concept, which is series, if you remember what I've introduced to you in session 1. Well, so if that's the case, now we can, if you, when I've been preparing these sessions, I broke down into, because the exercise, this is exercise 5.1. The exercise 5.1, it contains 10 questions to test the students whether he or she has understood your sequences. I won't solve all of them, but I will be solving some of them, and then I will leave some of them for the homework. However, that you should also make sure that you have a book so you can go through with all the questions. Okay, so it means that I grouped these questions it means that I grouped the likely questions in one part, and I called it part 1, part 2, part 3. So it means that the whole exercise, all the 10 questions, we can categorize them into 3 parts. So I have collected similar questions that will be teaching the concepts for the first part, and also for the second part, and also for the third part. So this will be, we can call it part 1 of this exercise, part 1, and in part 1 we have what finding. So we are going to solve problems on finding what the next detail. Right? If you remember the session 2, I've introduced about it. The next detail, either one term or more than one term. So that's what I will be solving. I'll be helping you to solve the problems, and that's how we will specifically for this part. And then we'll go for the next part. Okay? So let us go in the series, in session 2, we ended in example 4. So this, according to this, our series or example series, this is the example 5. And in this example 5, I took it from exercise 5.1 of basic mathematics or secondary basic mathematics book 3. It means that written by the TAYAI, Tanzania Institute of Education, and I took question number 1. So this is question number 1. I will write for you, and then we solve together, or I will teach you how you can solve it and click it, so you can enjoy the beauty of basic mathematics, because basic mathematics is beautiful. So we say that find the next 2 terms, the question of what, of each of the following. Do you enjoy the basic mathematics? For me, I do enjoy and I do like. Do you like basic mathematics? Please tell me in the comment section so I might know. Okay, sequences. Sequences. Roman R, you'll be given start 1/2. Remember that sequences are separated by comma. Series, when I'll be teaching you the second concept, you will see that series will be separated by the basic operation, whether addition, whether multiplication, whether subtraction, or whether the division. Okay? So this is first sequence, and then B, part B is 1, -1/2, and then we have what 1/4, and then comma what -1/8, and then we say that is B. Okay, that is B, and then we have C. C, it is a sequence of whole numbers, 1, 2, 6, 24, but no any common difference between them. So then continue. We have D. So D, we say that is 1, -1, and then 1, and then we have 1. So that's a question. So how many parts? 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will teach you how to solve all of those 4 parts, part A to D, and then I will leave the homework for you so that you can try yourself and let us know in the comment sections whether you managed to get the right answer or not. So all the homework should be submitted in the comment section. So solution. Solution. So solution, we say that. So for part A, we say that I'll be teaching you how to solve these problems, and all the problems I'll be teaching you by following steps. What will be the first step on identifying the next term, right? The first step, we say that observe the given sequence. Okay, observe the difference, okay, difference between what? Between the terms of given what? Of given sequence. Right? So for instance, for Roman A, we'll be given 1 over 2, comma, 2, comma 3, comma, 3, comma 4, comma, 4, comma 5. So the question asks us to determine the next first term and next second term. So that's what will be given. So this is fractions. This is the sequence of fractional number. A fractions, and this is it either improper or proper? Is it improper or proper fractions? This is improper fraction because the denominator, the number in denominator is greater than the number in numerator. So bear that. Okay, so let us analyze what the difference is. The first term, second term, third term, fourth term. So we have to look for the fifth terms and sixth term, right? So with this one, we say that let us analyze what the sequence are. Observe the numerators. So the numerators is the sequence of 40 of natural number. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the difference between a half and 2/30 in numerator means difference between 1 and 2 is 1. And then the difference between 2 and 3 is 1. Again, let us come to this point. So the difference between 2 and 3 is 1. The difference between 3 and 4 is 1. And then let us go to this sequence. The difference between 4 and 3 is 1. And the difference between what? Between 5 and 4 is 1. Similarly, if I got the fifth term, similarly, the difference between the fourth term and the fifth unknown term is 1. And the difference between the denominator of the fourth term and denominator of the unknown fifth term is 1. So now we take a 1 plus 4, which will make it 5 divided by 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. Right? Again, the difference between the fifth term, which now is known, and what? And the sixth term will be differ in what? Both numerator and what? Denominator. So the difference between, because the common difference is 1 for numerator and the common difference for the denominator is 1. So we take, so we said the common difference also we expect to be 1 in numerator and 1 in what? Denominator. So 1 plus this 5 will make what? 6. And then 6 plus this one will make what? 7. So therefore, so now we know the fifth term and the sixth term. What does the question ask? The question asks that find the next two terms. Next two terms. Okay, of each of the following sequence. So this is the sequence that we began. So now we say that therefore, so we just conclude we are done. Simple like that. We simplify. There's the mathematics problem. Okay, so we say that the next two terms, right, for this case, the next two terms is what? The next two terms is 5 over 6 and what? And 6 over 7. So this is the response. So this is the response. So we are done with part A, right? If you have any question, make sure that you ask in the comment section. But I advise you repeat this video several times as well as you can. Then we go for part B. So again, we say that the first is also we observe the difference between the terms or the behavior of the pattern. So here in this sequence we have 1, we have comma negative half, then we have 1 over 4, and then we have what? Negative 1 over 8. So if you examine, if you ignore the negative sign and positive sign, if you examine the numerators, no any difference. They have common numerator, which is 1. So if that's the case, that in every difference between the pattern, the numerator will be 1. So now, let us examine on the denominator. So on the denominator, here, suppose that this is 1 over 1. So the difference between this one and this one is what? Is 2. Right? Is 1. Okay, so for this one it is 1. For this, listen carefully. So it's 1. And then the difference between this number, we just ignore. If for example that we want to use the same concept, because sometimes you have to be flexible. The difference between this and this one is 2. So it means that if for the numerator is 1 and then 2. And the difference between these two numbers is what? Is 1 over what? 1 over 4. So that is the first step. So the first step, you say that you observe the difference. So if you observe the difference, in part A, we had a common difference, that is 1 over 1. In part B, we don't have a common difference. 1 is not equal to a half, is not equal to 1 over 4. And even sometimes that we have the negative side. So we have to use we have to think again outside the box how we can solve this problem. So if you examine them, the relationship between the denominators, because numerator is fine, we say that because you have determines even the next term, so it means that the next two terms, so it cannot determine because we don't know what the difference between them. But if you examine the denominator, so that will be the second step, right? Second step, consider the denominator, because this is the sequence of fraction. Consider denominator of each thing, right? Denominator of 14 of sequence. So ignore first the sign, right? So if you consider the denominator of the sequence, you have 1, the next one is 2, the next one is 4, the next one is 8. What the relationship between them? If you analyze that, this is 2 power 0, because 2 power 0 is 1. And if you analyze this one, this is 2 power 1, right? Just thinking, just see, because if you like mathematics, you think outside the box, so you have to think, how do they relate? And if you analyze this one, this is 2 power 2, because 2 power 2 is equal to 4. If you analyze this one, this is 2 power 3, because 2 power 3 is equal to 30, is equal to 8. So now, the question is, we need to determine the next two denominators, right? So if this is the pattern, means this is the behavior. But the behavior that the first denominator is 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 3, 2 power 2, 2 power 3. So now let me ask you a question, very simple question. Pause the video and then think, just take a few seconds, 30 seconds to think, what will be the next denominator? So it's well seen. So the next denominator will be 2 power 4. And then the next 2 power 4, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to what? 16, right? And then the next term, what will be the next term now? Can you try? Can you try? Yeah, so you can try. This 2 power 5. You are right. So 2 power 5, this is equal to 32. Right? So if that's the case now, we say that we go for the third step. So the third step, we say that rewrite what? Rewrite the sequence. So let us now write the sequence, which previously it contained only 4 terms. 1, negative a half, 1, 4, and then negative 1, 8, and then we don't know the next 2 terms. Now we have realized that it is 1 because these are denominators, remember, 1 over 16 and 1 over 32. But remember that, again, now you have to examine about 30, the sign. So the sign, this was positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. So that's the pattern. So this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. So this will be what? Negative 1 over what? 32. So the question asks you that find the next 2 terms of this sequence. So therefore we say that the next 2 terms of the sequence, next 2 terms of the sequence are 1 over 8, not 1 over 6. So let us continue. So as we did in part B, we have this sequence or these patterns, and then we realize that we cannot determine the difference, means that we cannot determine the next 2 terms by using the difference because of the difference at behavior that happens here. However, remember that when I've been checking this observation, these differences, I didn't take consideration what is the sign. Means I didn't take consideration the positive and negative side. I ignored the negative and positive sign. So in second step, we say we have to think outside the box. So if you think outside the box, you have to take out the considerations of what? Of the denominator. So this is the consideration of the denominator. And hence you realize that the difference, what the difference means, that how are these denominators can be formed, the other ways of forming this sequence. So you can take 2 power 0, it is 1, 2 power 1, it is 2, 2 power 2, it is 4, 2 power 3 is 8, 2 power 4 is 16, 2 power 5 is what? Is 32. So the next two, these are denominators of what? Of the terms. So this is the denominator of unknown 5th terms, this denominator of unknown 6th term. So then we went and then we write what our new sequence right now. But remember that the question asked us to determine this one and this one. So when we've been writing, we analyze against the sign. This is positive term, negative term, positive term, negative term. So this will be positive terms and this will be negative terms. That's why we concluded that the next two terms after these 4 terms will be 1 over 6, 16, and the negative 1 over 2. So if that's the case now, we are going for part C. So we have 1, 2, 6, 24, 1, 2. So the first state, always you have to examine the differences, okay, or the relationship between these terms. So if you examine, because here this is the walnut, right? The sequence of 40 walnuts. So if you examine them, we find that these patterns or these, we don't have a common difference. So no commonality, no common difference. Okay, I'll teach you about common difference in arithmetic progression. No common difference. No common difference between the terms. So this method will not help us to combine the next two terms. So what you have to do again, you have to think outside the box. So what should be the thought? We have to think in terms of multiplication, right? So if you think in terms of multiplications, we have to think about maybe common or what the sequence, you have to formulate the sequence how it has been. So you go for the second stage. Second stage, we say that identify the other form. The other form of what? Of forming the same sequence. The same sequence. So what the other form, for example, we think that if you have 1 times 1, you get 1. Right? And then if you have 2 times 1, which is this one, we take 2 times 1, or let's say we take the answer of the first product, which is 1. If you multiply by 2, we get 2. Right? And hence we continue. So the next terms, that will be the third term, will be formed by the product of 40. The product of the second term and the next term. Okay, so it means that the next term will be we have to take because here we took the first term, which is 1 times 2, we got 2. And then now we take the second term, which is 2. We think we should multiply this 2 by which number to get 6? Just like here, we took 1 times 1, we got 1. And then we have to think. So we take 1, what should we multiply with 1 to get 2? So the answer is 2, so 1 times 2 is equal to 2. Again, we say that we have 2, we have to think, what should we multiply with in order to get 6, which is the third term? So the answer is 3, right? And then we say that, because we can even just, let me just write the whole sequence here so you can see the increase. So we take 1 and multiply by 1 to get the first term, which is 1. Then we take the first term, which is 1. We think, what should we multiply with in order to get the second term, which is 2. So it means that 1 times 2, we get 2. Then we take this, the third term, the second term. We think, what number should we multiply with in order to get 30, to get 6? So the answer is what is 3. So we are forming the patterns, right? And then we have what the third term. We take the third term, which is 6. We have to think, what number should we multiply in order to get the first term, which is 24, right? So the answer is what? 4. So 6 and 4 is equal to 24. Then again we take 24, right? We multiply with what? We think, what number should we multiply with 24 in order to get to 120, right? The answer is 120. So this one we have to take 5, because 5 times 4 we get 20, so we write 0, we keep 2. 5 times 2 it is 10, then plus 2 is equal to 120. So if that's the case now with this arrangement, it means that we take now the fifth step, which is 120. We think, what should we multiply with in order to get the sixth step? So in order, and then the next questions we say that the answer of this part, which we don't know by the way, which is dash, we have to think, what should we multiply with in order to get it? The sixth term. So we have to analyze this sequence because these are the terms. First term, right? First term, second, third, fourth, fifth. So even the answer of this means that the fifth term will be the multiplier for this case. So it means that we have to analyze. So if you analyze this arrangement, we find that it's 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So this is the series of 40. This is the sequence, or this is the sequence of 40 of natural numbers. So if natural number, the next number, if the common difference between them is 1. So common difference between this and this is 1. Common difference between this and this is 1. Common difference between 4 and 5 is 1. So if it is 1, so even the common difference between the unknown terms will be what? 1. It will be 1, which is 6. So you take 1 plus 5 is 6. Again, the common difference between 60 and the unknown terms is 1, so it will be 7. So the response here is 6 and here it is 7. So 120 times 6. So 6 times 0, it is 0. And then 6 times 2, it is 12. So you keep 1. 6 times 1, it is 6. So you have 720. So this is the fifth step. Then we take 720. We multiply with 7. 7 times 0, it is what? 0. 7 times 2 is equal to what? 14. We keep 1. 7 times 7 is 49. Plus 1 is what? 50. So then this is the result. You see? So the goodness of the sequence tests you, your level of thinking outside the box. Right? That's the goodness of this, because you have to think. And that's the beauty, and that's the goal of learning mathematics, in order to teach you how you can think fast and how you can think around the problems that you're being given. Because even if that after you graduate, we're expecting you to solve real life problems. Right? So if that's the case now, we conclude that, we say that the next two terms of the given sequence are what? 720 and also what? 5040. So this is the response. Beautiful? Yeah, it's beautiful. Then part C will be given 1, comma negative, part D, excuse me, this is part D, comma negative 1, then 1, comma negative 1. So the question is, we are determining the next term, which is the fifth term and the sixth term. Right? So if you examine this pattern, this is the first term, second term, third term, fourth term. So you call that this is the pattern of repeated terms after one term. What does it mean? This is the first term, right? First term. So this is the first term. So the first term has the same value with the third term, right? So if that's the case, even they will have the same value with the fifth term, because they are odd. Because we have the odd terms. So these are the odd terms. So even if that will be, I want to know the seventh term. So they will have the same value, the seventh term. So if that's the case, we come to the negative term. So this is the second term. So suppose second is even number, right? And then this is the first term. So the second term is negative, the first term is negative. So even the sixth term will be negative, right? So if that's the case, the fifth term is 1, and the sixth term is negative 1. So the sequence repeat as long as several times, as well as it can repeat, or as well as we can write. So if that's the case now, just to conclude, we say that the next two terms are 1 and the negative 1. That's the response. Again, below, this is a telephone number which you can offer God, who have given me this business to do it. It means to teach you and to impact your life and to change your life. You can offer your Thanksgiving, your free-willing Thanksgiving offering in order to participate in the running cost for these programs, or for this online training, because there is a high running cost to make sure that the many lectures of basic mathematics or O-level secondary educations will be in air, right? So that you can, so any students that can learn them at any time and at any anyway. So that's what has been written, Thanksgiving off. Off is abbreviations of offering. We don't need the help, we need just the offering. So it means that the telephone number is what? 0759745331. So even if you go through the descriptions of this video, you'll find the telephone number, even the account number, if you want to do the bank transactions. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much for understanding what I presented to you. So then we have solved the first equation in exercise 5.1 of chapter 5. This is the consolidation of the denominator. So let us continue. So as we did in part B, we have this sequence or these patterns, and then we realize that we cannot determine the difference. It means that we cannot determine the next two terms by using the difference because of the difference at behavior that happens here. However, remember that when I've been checking this observation, these differences, I didn't take consideration what is the sign. Means I didn't take consideration the positive and negative side. I ignore the negative and positive sign. So in second step, we say we have to think outside the box. So if you think outside the box, you have to take out the considerations of what? Of the denominator. So this is the consideration of the denominator. And hence we realize that the difference, what the difference means, that how are these denominators can be formed, the other ways of forming this sequence. So you can take 2 power 0, it is 1, 2 power 1, it is 2, 2 power 2, it is 4, 2 power 3 is 8, 2 power 4 is 16, 2 power 5 is what? Is 32. So the next two, these are denominators of 40 of the terms. So this is the denominator of unknown 5 terms, the denominator of unknown 6 terms. So then we went and then we write our new sequence right now. But remember that the question asks us to determine this one and this one. So when we have been writing, we analyze against the sign. This is positive term, negative term, positive term, negative term. So this will be positive terms and this will be negative terms. That's why we concluded that the next 2 terms after these 4 terms will be 1 over 6, 16, and the negative 1 over 32. So if that's the case now, we are going for part C. So we have 1, 2, 6, 24, 1, 20. So the first step, always you have to examine the differences, okay, or the relationship between these terms. So if you examine, because here this is the whole number, right? A sequence of 40 of whole numbers. So if you examine them, we find that these patterns or we don't have a common difference. So no commonality, no common difference. Okay, I will teach you about common difference in arithmetic progression. No common difference. No common difference between the terms. So this method will not help us determine the next 2 terms. So what you have to do again, you have to think outside the box. So what should be the thought? We have to think in terms of multiplication, right? So if you think in terms of multiplications, we have to think about maybe a common number or what the sequence. You have to formulate the sequence, how it has been. So you go for the second state. Second state, we say that identify the other form of 40 of forming what? Of forming the same sequence. The same sequence. So what the other form? For example, we think that if we have 1 times 1, we get 1. Right? And then if we have 2 times 1, which is this one, we take 2 times 1, or let's say we take the answer of the first product, which is 1. If we multiply by 2, we get 2. Right? And hence we continue. So the next terms, that will be the third term, will be formed by the product of 40, the product of the second term and the next nth term. Okay, so it means that the next term will be we have to take because here we took the first term, which is 1 times 2, we got 2. And then now we take the second term, which is 2, we think we should multiply this 2 by which number to get 6. Just like here, we took 1 times 1, we got 1. And then we have to think, so we take 1, what should we multiply with 1 to get 2? So the answer is 2, so 1 times 2 is equal to 2. Again, we say that we have 2, we have to think, what should we multiply with in order to get 6, which is the third term? So the answer is 3, right? And then we say that, because we can even just, let me just rewrite the whole sequence here so you can see the increase. So we take 1, we multiply by 1 to get the first term, which is 1. Then we take the first term, which is 1, we think, what should we multiply with in order to get the second term, which is 2. So it means that 1 times 2 will get 2. Then we take the third term, the second term, we think, what number should we multiply with in order to get 30, to get 6? So the answer is 3. So we are forming the patterns, right? And then we have what the third term. We take the third term, which is 6. We have to think, what number should we multiply in order to get the first term, which is 24, right? So the answer is 4. So 6 and 4 is equal to 24. Then again we take 24, right? We multiply with what? We think, what number should we multiply with 24 in order to get to 120, right? The answer is 120. So this one we have to take 5, because 5 times 4 we get 20, so we write 0, we keep 2. 5 times 2 it is 10, then plus 2 is equal to 120. So if that's the case now with this arrangement, it means that we take now the fifth step, which is 120. We think, what should we multiply with in order to get the sixth step? So in order, and then the next questions we say that the answer of this part, which we don't know by the way, which is dash, we have to think, what should we multiply with in order to get it, the sixth term? So we have to analyze this sequence because these are the terms. First term, right? First term, second, third, fourth, fifth. So even the answer of this, it means that the fifth term will be the multiplier for this case. So it means that we have to analyze. So if you analyze this arrangement, we find that is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So this is the series of 40. This is the sequence, or this is the sequence of 40 of natural numbers. So if natural number, the next number, if the common difference between them is 1. So common difference between this and this is 1. Common difference between this and this is 1. Common difference between 4 and 5 is 1. So if it is 1, so even the common difference between the unknown terms will be 1. It will be 1, which is 6. So you take 1 plus 5 is 6. Again, the common difference between 6 and unknown terms is 1, so it will be 7. So the response here is 6 and here it is 7. So 120 times 6. So 6 times 0, it is 0. And then 6 times 2, it is 12. So you keep 1. 6 times 1, it is 6. So you have 720. So this is the fifth step. Then we take 720. We multiply with 7. 7 times 0, it is what? 0. 7 times 2 is equal to what? 14. We keep 1. 7 times 7 is 49. Plus 1 is what? 50. So then this is the result. You see? So the goodness of the sequence tests you your level of thinking outside the box. Right? That's the goodness of this, because you have to think. And that's the beauty and that's the goal of learning mathematics, in order to teach you how you can think fast and how you can think around the problems that you've been given. Because even if that after you graduate, we're expecting you to solve real life problems, right? So if that's the case now, we conclude that, we say that the next two terms of the given sequence are what? 720 and also what? 5040. So this is the response. Beautiful? Yeah, it's beautiful. Then part C will be given 1, comma negative, part D, excuse me, this is part D, comma negative 1, then 1, comma negative 1. So the question is, we have determined the next term, which is the fifth term and the sixth term. Right? So if you examine this pattern, this is the first term, second term, third term, fourth term. So you call that this is the pattern of repeated terms after one term. What does it mean? This is the first term, right? First term. So this is the first term. So the first term has the same value with the third term, right? So if that's the case, even they will have the same value with the fifth term, because they are odd. Because we have the odd terms. So these are the odd terms. So even if that will be, I want to know the seventh term. So they will have the same value, the seventh term. So if that's the case, we come to the negative term. So this is the second term. So suppose second is even number, right? And then this is the first term. So the second term is negative, the first term is negative. So even the sixth term will be negative, right? So if that's the case, the fifth term is 1, and the sixth term is negative 1. So the sequence repeat as long as several times, as well as it can repeat, or as well as we can write. So if that's the case now, just to conclude, we say that the next terms are, right, are 1 and the negative 1. That's the response. Again, below, this is a telephone number which you can offer God, who have given me this business to do it. It means to teach you and to impact your life and to change your life. You can offer your Thanksgiving, your free-willing Thanksgiving offering in order to participate in the running cost for these programs or for this online training. Because there is a high running cost to make sure that many lectures of basic mathematics or O-level secondary educations will be in air, right? So that you can, so any students that can learn them at any time and at any anyway. So that's what has been written, Thanksgiving off. Off is abbreviations of offering. We don't need the hub, we need just the offering. So it means that the telephone number is what? 0759745331. So even if you go through the descriptions of this video, you'll find the telephone number, even the account number, if you want to do the bank transactions. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much for understanding what I presented to you. So then we have solved the first question in exercise 5.1 of chapter 5 for sequences and series for the form series. Now it's a time, I solved the 4 questions. It's a time to give you a homework, right? So this is, we call it just homework 3 or homework. So this we call the homework. So it's a time for homework, right? And the homework still, we are still solving the same exercise, right? So this we can call it just the homework 3 because it's lecture 3. So homework 3, and this we call it part A, right? Homework 3, part A. So I have 2 questions that are selected to mean that so this will be in a sequence, right? So this will be example, that it was example 5, right? So this will be example 6, right? But this example 6, I took from the book called the Basic Mathematics, or Secondary Basic Mathematics, book 3, right? For those who are using the Tanzania curriculum. So this is question number 6, right? So it's question number 6, or it's question number 9. So it's question number 9 in exercise 5.1, page 141, right? So the question said that, write down the next two terms, write down the next two terms, right? The next two terms of the following sequence. So it's a fraction of the following sequence. And this sequence is 5 over 2, comma 3 over 2, comma 7 over 3, comma 5 over. Finding the n-stem. How can we find the n-stem of the sequence? N-stem of the sequence before of any sequence, right? Because I will teach you how to find the n-stems of arithmetic progression or geometric progression. So this is any sequence. Might be either arithmetic or geometric or neither of them. So I will be teaching you how to solve problems on this part by solving the following question. This will be example 7. This example 7, I took it from exercise 5.1 as question number 2. So refer exercise 5.1 of the book that I've mentioned. So the question asks you that find the n-stem, of the sequence. Find the n-stem of the sequence. So find the n-stem of the sequence 1, 3, 5, 7, etc., etc., etc. So it means you continue at the question. So let us solve the problem. Solution. So we are looking for the n-stem. I we define what the meanings of the end stem in session 2. So you have to make sure that you go through it. So solution. So find the end stem of the sequence 1, 3, 5, 7. If you examine this sequence, you find that the sequence of 40 or the numbers, or the natural numbers, or the whole numbers, right? Or the counting numbers. So there will be following steps. The first step, we say that observe or identify, observe what the difference between terms. Okay, I'm writing this for your future review. So 1,3, 3,5, and 7 will be given 4 terms. So what the difference between the first term and the second term? Difference is 2. What the difference between the second terms and the third term is 2. What the difference between the third term, which is 5, and the fourth term is 2. And what the difference between the fourth term and unknown 6th term, right? If in case that we are finding 40 for the terms, we might say that it may be 9. So you can continue as long as you can. But today we are not looking at the next term. So as you say that in the second part, we'll be learning there how we can find the end stem, right? To find the end stem, let me just repeat and then we can go through. So find the end stems of any sequence. Later on, so I'll teach you to find the end stem of arithmetic and geometric progressions, the next concept. Stay tuned. But here I'm teaching you how you can find the sequence of anything. You have just to think about how the formations of the sequence has been made or has been achieved. So find the end stems of what of the sequence that one. So the first step we say that observe the difference between them, and then the second step we have to form what the sequence by using another form. So that's what we are doing. So remember that in the previous example, that example 6, we are trying to think that how we can form the terms by using the previous step. So the first term here is 1, we took 1 times 1, we get 1. And that's, yes, this first term. Then we took 1 times 2, we get 2. 2 is not a part of this sequence. So because it's not a part of this sequence, then what's going to happen? So because it's not a part of this sequence, so this way will not be helpful. However, that if we keep continuing that 2 times 3 is equal to 6, 6 is not a part of this sequence. So this approach won't be successful. So it has been successful for only example 6C, party C, right? Example 5, party C. So then now, how we can form the general term? Look, the way we can form the general terms, we can use, it means that we can use another, as we say, another form. So the other form, we say that we can take 2 times 1, and then subtracting by 1, we get 1. Okay, you can ask a question yourself. How do you know? Or how did you know that this is the way that you have to use your mind, you have to use your intelligence of thinking and see how the sequence has been formed. No need of the formula by this point. However, that this I know that the sequence it's a sequence of arithmetic progression, sequences, but in this system we are not allowed to use the formula. Right? I haven't talked about the formula. So 2 times 1 is equal to 2 minus 1 is 1. Then we can take 2 times 2, then minus 1. We get to 3. So 1 is the first term, and 3 is the second term. Okay? And then we take 22 times 3 minus 1. So 2 times 3 we get 6. 6 minus 1 we get 5. 5 is the third of the given sequence. Then I think 2 times 4. Then minus 1. 2 times 4 is equal to 8. 8 minus 1 is equal to 7. So that's what the last term. So the last given term is 7. And the sequence is still proceeding. So if you proceed, for example, you go further, because this is where we have 2 is common. common multiple or common plans, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the sequence of the natural number. So we are examining something, means that we realize there is certain relationship, certain common relationship between the terms. So you can say that the next terms now, ask yourself, let me ask you, ask what will be the next term if this is first, second, third, and fourth. Next term will be 5. Very good. So 5 hence minus 1. So 2 times 5 is what? 10 minus 1 is what? 9. So if you've been asked to find the next term, it will be 9. Right? Etc. 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 So we say that if we continue, right, with this base comparison, so 2 is common, so it will be then we have multiplication side. Then this is the sequence of 40 natural number. So if you have the sequence of natural number, right? Sequence of natural number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Then we continue, the last term will be n. So if that's the case, it will be 2 times 40 n. Then we open and close the bracket, the minus 1. Hence, every terms we can get, it means that the first term we can get when substitute n is equal to 1. The answer is 1. If substitute n is equal to 2, the answer is what? 3. Substitute n is equal to 3, the answer is what? 5. If substitute n is equal to 4, the answer is what? 7, etc. etc. So 2 times 5, this in next, we just write that is 2 n minus 1. So this is our n step. So therefore, n step, n step of the given sequence, n step of the sequence is what? Twice n minus 1.
Kwa sasa hivi wanawekea drip ya paracetamol. Kile kilipo kidogo.
Right?
So kuna panadol ya tablet na panadol ya paracetamol ambayo inatumika kwa injection.
I believe that you enjoy the chapter 14 basic mathematics, chapter 5 sequences and dotting.
Kaja hali nyingine. Baada tukichoka kutulia kaja hali ya
not allowed to use the formula.
Yani joto kiasi ambacho tunawasha feni na fungua madirisha lakini bado nasikia joto.
The next example.
Yani natamani yani nikae kila nguo lakini mimi ninapoona kwamba hata nikisema nishushe sio mpaka hapa bado
in reference to the
ilienda kwa mathematics kwa baridi. Wanajifunika vigugu ya unakuta huko mchana jua kali. Nani yenyewe ilivyo kama ina feni. Haina chenyewe lakini wakuta mimi nimezima. Funga madirisha. Kinika gugu. Baada ya masaa mawili unakuta kichwa kinauma tena. Kwa hiyo yani jambo likaenda hivi. Mapema nikashika pale Jumatatu asubuhi. Sasa changamoto nyingine niliyopata, simu yangu ilipata shida gani? Kwa hiyo
remember that I used to go extra miles
niweke kwenye simu ya mke wangu.
Teach you many concepts that and teach you how to solve problems.
Unajua ndio maana mimi sitaikuwa na Kiswahili.
What you are already
na Kiswahili afu
taught you in the physical class.
Au kila anayekupigia bwana unauliza nani?
The sequence.
Hiyo ni vitu ambavyo huwa sivipendi.
Right? The sequence.
Unaweka kule
classes, you might find that many questions in the exercise are left if you try. Sometimes you don't try them. And if you got the exam, you find so the question asks you that find a general term. So general term means the other name of 40 of this sequence. So again, we can examine that given sequence. So if you examine the given sequence against that, if you observe the difference between the terms, then you can find something else. So solution. So solution we say that first step, first step, we say that observe the difference. Difference between what? Difference between so if you observe the difference, the terms will be given 6, 12, and 25. Next term, which is the difference between this number and this number is 3.
Basi amesema sheria yake kwamba apigiwe asipokea mwandikie message ya kumwelezea.
So even the next one, you can identify.
Anamwambia niko wapi.
Possibly the different causes.
Message hiyo nikamcopy nani? Edin. Kwa sababu yani na market ipata. Kwa namba ipasa naye na matroni.
24 plus 24 it might be 48.
Basi kwa mimi ndo nikaa nimelazwa pale
ni can only help us to get the next step. How about 20? The issue of the instant.
Lakini bado yani hiyo Jumanne kwenda nyumbani. Wezi amini hali nimekuja kwenda usingizi saa moja asubuhi. Yani kwanza tulimotoka yani kwa mtendo matano ambao tarehe moja. Maana
so to find the instant we have to think how we can formulate
nilivyokuwa tulivyoenda nyumbani. Kama kwenda nyumbani. Kwa nyumbani nasikia baridi. Yani sikutaka kuwa na story nyingine nikashuka
vertical operation. Whether
basi nikajifunika hivyo mtumishi, sijajua kwanza kama nipata wa muda gani. Kufika saa 6 imechange yani ile imekuwa yani kwanza kitanda chote kimeroa. Elewa. Yangu yupo tu hapo naye ndo ameingia kitandani na kushoka sababu alikuwa anaingia kazini kwa natumia. Kwa hiyo kwa amelala. Sasa yeye anapenda kufunga madirisha. Ikanyanyuka mzee, akatafuta daftari kajipepea, hamna, akatafuta mfuniko wa ndoo. Kama baby, nipepea kuanzia saa 4 saa 7. Paka ile swala ya kwanza ni saa 10:30.
12 times 2 is what?
Baadhi ya yani unajua na yani kama maji bila kutirika. Sababu hospitali huku zile siku 4 nilizolazwa pale, niliwekea drip za maji kama 15.
So 3 times 2
bwana nawekewa drip za maji, mimi mwenyewe nakunywa. Yani nililetewa carton ya maji.
So for example, they said that 3
times 2 iletwa mzee.
Or 3 times
1 kwa siku moja. Kwa sababu yani hakuna namna wanasema ile vidudu na flash na benda kitu. Wewe kujanya maji mengi wa neutralize
which the second
watu wanaondoka na huo ugonjwa. Au wengine ambao waondoka na kesa unaweza ukakulaza kitandani atakuwa
6 times 2 is equal to 12. Then you say that 12
sababu unajua malaria kwa nini kidogo sasa hivi kwa sababu malaria sina dawa. Huu hauna dawa. Yeye maana yake ndio
this is kinds of the common number. But how can you realize
reaction?
This is the challenge. This is
body card imepigwa hizo ndipo na ni 15.
So how can you
realize kwa sababu ile paracetamol imekuwa kila baada ya saa 6 na kupigwa nyingine.
It's a challenge.
Kila baada ya saa 6 kwa sababu
this approach also won't be
successful. Lakini bado ile
the best way now
na nyumbani sasa usiku ndo aliyetokea kimi nimejua hapa tushapona yani sweat nini ndo chafu na yani sikuwa na ile hofu ya kusema kwamba na hospitali tena kwa kesho yake Jumatano nikashinda nyumbani sijatoka ndani na ile kutoka hata kama tuende chumba hicho hapa
this will give you the second term, which is 6. Then if I take 3 times 2, which is raised by 2, 2 power 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, right? So I'm getting a certain order, because we say that sequence is a series or is a arrangement of all of the terms in a particular order to form a particular pattern. So this already is a particular pattern, 0, 1, 2, something else. And then after again, the next term will be 3 times 2 power 3. So 3 times 2 power 3 is equal to 8, times 3 is equal to what? 24. So even if that you want to formulate the next term to be 3 times 2 power 4. So the answer will be what? So the answer will be 48. Because 2 power 4 is 16. 16 times 3 is equal to 48. So with this sequence now, or this arrangement, you can find that the n stem 3 will be common times, and then we come here. 2 is common also as a base of that exponent number. So because 2 is the base of that exponent number, then you analyze what you analyze the whole numbers, means the counting numbers for indices of exponent 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the sequence of 40, sequence of quality of natural number. So it will be 3 times 40 times 2. So 3 times 2, for instance, that you want to get the fifth step.
Lakini mimi nimekutania kwa sababu hata hivyo
we say that n is equal to 40 n is equal to 4.
Mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa
the sequence has started from
nifikike kirahisi kwenye
so the sixth term, so we say that if for this case, say that is 0
Jumamosi yenyewe square 1, Jumapili square 1. Tuseme hizo weekend kila mtu anafanya mambo yake. Jumatatu yenyewe square 1. Unanisikia? Jumanne square 1. Jumatano ni square 1. Alhamisi square 1. Ijumaa square 1. Jumamosi square 1. Jumapili square 1. Jumatatu ndo nimeanza kwa 1. Kwa mimi nikikuta tu wale watu ambao nimezoea nao na mtania tena naambia tu kama mbona hujaja kuniona yani, kwa sababu inawezekana mtu amenipigia lakini amefanyaje kosa ambayo hiyo naye ni nje ya uwezo wake. Hakuna namna ambayo unaweza kupata taarifa za kwangu kama usipotumia namba yangu, unless mtu mwingine labda
5 minus 1.
Lakini kama ingekuwa sio bwana unaonekana huko,
because I want also to include
mmoja nipigie simu nijua naendeleaje kama iko labda miaka hiyo.
So then we say that the n stem now is 3 times 2 power n minus 1.
Why? Mambo
like that? Because if you substitute in place the fifth
hakuna group ambao majamaa
5 minus 1 4 2 power 4
hadi la social tu
2 power 4 16
ndio maana unakuja kukuta kwa mfano nadhani makosa kwa wale wa ni hilo la staff walimu yale ya rambi wale majamaa wao.
General term now is what? 3
sasa hata kama wakijua wana
2 power n minus 1. Remember that you have just to think outside the box. So after solving 2 examples in this part 2, now I want to test whether you have understood what I've been teaching you. So I have 2 questions for you. Are you ready for that?
This is the way that we want to run our life.
So this will be example.
Yani unaanza kusema kwamba wewe spy. Yani haya. Ananiambia mtu fulani ananifuatilia alafu ukishajua kanisaidia mimi.
Example 9. And this example 9 I took it from the exercise 4.5.1 of secondary basic mathematics book 3. So I took it as question number 6. So if you have the book, you can check the question number 6. That's the point I took it. So this will be homework. So homework 3B. Right? So the question asks you that find the general term. Find the general term. Find the general term.
Nikuja asubuhi nimeandika barua
sequence.
Attach na ile medical document
of the sequence 1.
Sababu nake simelaza siku wakanipa idea siku nne.
Then comma.
Hata kama siku moja nisinge kwa hivyo mimi
negative 1.
Onekana hapa labda
is the same sequence as the one that I told you how to find the next term in example 5.
Wakanita kule
so
na
find the general terms of that sequence. Again,
wanaelewa hiyo, yani unajua Daudi, yani hapa nini?
Right, example 10.
Umetokea umeumwa umepata
example 10.
Tunatoa taarifa.
I took it question number 3. Exercise 5.1. Question asking us
kwa nini unaweza kwenda kwenye sehemu nyingine general term. Yani hiyo ndio sasa fikiria, angalia kwenye mazingira. Kwa mfano mtu anapewa mkataba
of the sequence,
sio mpaka sasa hivi sio kama yuko karibia na mkataba, yani manake anakaribia nusu ya mkataba.
The sequence
amepata changamoto, unaanza kufanya
6 9 12. This is still continuing sequence. First dot, second full step, third full step, full stop. First, second.
Okay, so hivi hapa wanafunzi anakuja mpaka
right? Great. So those 2 questions will be your homework. Make sure that you do them yourself. Don't ask your others in Form 4 to help you. Do it yourself. You can do it yourself. And then you submit or not. So submission, submit your homework, submit your team, in comment section. Right? Submit in the comment section. Comment section of this video.
Ila sombo kati ya kitu ulichokifanya kizuri kwenye hatua ya mwanzoni.
So if that's the case, now I'd like to take you on to the part 3 of these concepts of problem solving. And this part 3, I call it finding the themes. This part 3 right? Finding them. Remember that I will break in this session 3 into small videos of session 3A, session 3B, and even sometimes if I record the sessions of more than 2 hours or more than 1.5, you have to expect also to find session 3C. The comment section of part 3, I'm teaching you how you can find the terms for a given. Okay, by using what? The given instant. By using the formula. Okay, by using the given what? Instant. So how I can find by using the given answer instant. Right? So I'm going to teach you this concept also by using examples. Right? Well, so let us go to examples on this regarding this concept. So this will be example. Example, tell me the number 11. In this example 11, refer exercise 5.1, question number 7. So this is question number 7 of exercise 5.1 in the book of secondary basic mathematics in form 3. So the question asks you that the instant, say the instant of a certain sequence. The instant of certain sequence is what? 2 power n minus 1. Find the sum. Find the sum.
Sasa ile ikikuja kwenye ndoa, yani itapanda kwenye performance ikawa very post kulingana na wenyewe. Sana wanapenda kitu lakini
you enjoy the bit of mathematics. Find the sum of the first three. Find the sum of the first 3 terms. So that's the question. I'm going to teach you how you can solve it. Remove it. Are you enjoying the beauty of basic mathematics for 3 sequence and series? Tell me in the comment section. And also remember to tell me that you're enjoying this material. Where are you studying? Which school are you studying? Which regions are you come from? Which contents are you come from? Which country in Africa? Which city are you come from? Tell me in the comment section because I want to know how this program has been expanded to the millions of ordinary secondary educations students, right? So the question said that we'll be given the instant of a certain sequence is 2 power n minus 1. Find the sum of the first 3 terms. So let me teach you how I can solve this problem, right? So this is still introduction. So we'll follow 2 steps mainly, right? The first is we say that find, we say that use the given instant, right? To find it. Given instant to find the first 3 terms. So let me teach you how we can use it. So the formula for the instant is 2 power n. So to find the first term, the first term will find when the value of n is equal to 1. general constant. So 2 power 1 minus 1, answer is equal to 1. Right? Good. Second term. The second term, we'll find it when n is equal to 2. So this will be 2 power 2 minus 1. So 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. So it will be 2 power 1. So 2 power 1 is equal to what? Is equal to 2. Then you have to find the third term. So the third term, we say that n is equal to 3. So how will you find? So it will be
ukijaribu kutafuta kuelewa unaona muda umeisha. Naona akasema bwana, hebu na mimi ninywe. Nakunywa kabisa, naona kama naelewa. Hapa nikifika tu pale, kile kile cha kukaa yani. Alafu nikiangalia pepa nakuta ile swali lipo. Yaani ndo naweza nikalifanya muda mrefu na nikalikosa. Hata hapa watoka wanafurahi. Mimi kwa kweli swala la kuelewa nitalipa gharama hata kama ni mwezi mzima nitasoma hicho kitu mpaka nielewe.